However, Amoka's happiness was short-lived, as a bad friend named Oluma, fueled by jealousy and malice, sought to destroy her relationship with Uche. Oluma had always been envious of Amoka's transformation and her newfound love, and she resented the fact that Amoka had left her old life behind. Once upon a time, in a small village in Africa, there lived a young woman named Amoka. She had a troubled past, having once been a sex worker, but she had since turned her life around and was now engaged to a kind and loving man named Uche. However, Amoka's happiness was short-lived, as a bad friend named Oluma, fueled by jealousy and malice, sought to destroy her relationship with Uche. Oluma had always been envious of Amoka's transformation and her newfound love, and she resented the fact that Amoka had left her old life behind. One day, Oluma approached Uche and told him a vicious lie, that Amoka had been married before and had deceived many men in the past. She also claimed that Amoka was only using him for his wealth and that she would disappear on their wedding day, leaving him heartbroken and humiliated. Uche, blinded by doubt and mistrust, refused to listen to Amoka's defense and instead believed Oloma's cruel lies. He confronted Amoka, and she tried to explain the truth, but he wouldn't hear it. Amoka was devastated, as her past had come back to haunt her, and her love for Uche was being destroyed by Oloma's malice. Amoka's heart was racing as she stood in front of Uche, her fiancé, trying to defend herself against the vicious lies Oluma had spread. Uche, please listen to me. I swear on my life that I've never been married before. I've made mistakes in my past, but I've changed. I love you and I would never deceive you, she pleaded. But Uche's eyes were cold, his mind already made up. How can I trust you, Amoka? Oluma told me everything. You've been married before and you've deceived many men. You're just using me for your own gain, he spat, his words cutting deep into Amoka's soul. Amoka felt like her world was crumbling around her. She knew Oluma had always been jealous of her relationship with Uche, but she never thought her so-called friend would stoop so low. Oluma had been a bad influence from the start, always whispering doubts and fueling Amoka's insecurities. Despite Amoka's pleas, Uche broke off their engagement, and Amoka was left heartbroken. Oluma, on the other hand, felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, thinking she had finally ruined Amoka's life. But little did Oluma know, her actions had set in motion a chain of events that would ultimately lead to her own downfall. Amoka, though hurt and betrayed, refused to give up. She sought the help of her community and exposed Oloma's lies, revealing her true intentions. The villagers, who had once respected Oluma, now shunned her, and she was left alone, her reputation in tatters. Amoka, on the other hand, was able to rebuild her life, and she eventually found love again with a man who truly loved and accepted her for who she was. As Amoka and Oloma's story unfolds, Uche, the man who had once come between them, begins to realize the gravity of his mistakes. He had let his own insecurities and jealousy blind him to the truth, and he had lost a wonderful woman as a result. Uche spent years trying to make amends, not just with Amoka, but with himself. He sought therapy, worked on his personal growth, and tried to rebuild his sense of self-worth. Eventually, Uche reached out to Amoka, not to try to win her back, but to apologize sincerely for his past actions. Amoka, who had long since forgiven him, appreciated his efforts and acknowledged his growth. After her engagement to Uche was broken off, Amoka took time to focus on herself and her growth. Kaidozi, who loved and accepted her for who she was, proved to be a wonderful partner, supporting her through thick and thin. He encouraged her to share her story with others, and soon Amoka became a beacon of hope for women who had faced similar struggles. They got married and had 2 beautiful children, a boy and a girl, named Obina and Nena. Amoka's children brought her immense joy, and she was determined to raise them with the values of forgiveness, love, and compassion that she had learned on her own journey. She and Kaidozi worked together to create a loving and supportive home, where their children could grow and thrive. As a mother, Amoka was fiercely protective and nurturing, always putting the needs of her children first. She passed on the lessons she had learned from her own experiences, teaching them the importance of forgiveness, self-love, and standing up for themselves and others. Obina and Nene grew up to be confident, kind, and compassionate individuals, making their parents proud. They carried on Amoka's legacy, spreading love and positivity wherever they went. Oluma, on the other hand, realized too late the damage she had caused. Amoka had moved on, and Oluma was left to confront the consequences of her own actions. One day, Oluma approached Amoka at a community gathering, tears streaming down her face. "Amoka, please forgive me," she begged. "I was consumed by jealousy and blind to the harm I caused. I know I can't undo the pain, but I hope you can find it in your heart to forgive me." Amoka looked at Oluma with a mix of sadness and compassion. "Oluma, I forgave you long ago," she said. "But forgiveness doesn't mean forgetting. You hurt me deeply, and it took me a long time to heal. However, I want you to know that I pray for your healing and growth. We all make mistakes, but it's how we learn from them that matters." Oluma nodded, grateful for Amoka's mercy. From that day on, she worked to rebuild her own life, seeking counseling and support to address her insecurities and jealousy. She eventually found her own path to redemption, and though she and Amoka never became close friends again, they did find a sense of closure and peace. Oluma, the woman who had once sought to destroy Amoka's life, eventually found her own path to redemption. After Amoka's forgiveness, Oluma was overcome with remorse and shame. She realized the gravity of her actions and the harm she had caused. Oluma spent years making amends, seeking counseling and support to address her own insecurities and jealousy. She worked to rebuild her relationships with those she had hurt, including Amoka, and slowly but surely, she earned back their trust. As she grew and learned, Oluma discovered a new passion for helping others, particularly women who had been through similar struggles. She became a mentor and a counselor, using her own experiences to guide and support those who were struggling. Years later, Oluma passed away, surrounded by the loved ones she had once hurt. But in her final moments, she was at peace, knowing that she had made amends and found forgiveness. Her legacy was one of redemption and second chances, a testament to the power of forgiveness and personal growth. As Amoka's story spread, it inspired a movement of women supporting women, and soon, a network of communities emerged, all dedicated to empowering and uplifting one another. Amoka's courage had sparked a chain reaction of kindness and compassion, and her name became synonymous with hope and redemption. Amoka's children grew older and began to make their own ways in the world. Obina became a successful lawyer, using his skills to fight for justice and protect the rights of others. Nena became a talented artist, using her creativity to inspire and uplift those around her. Amoka and Kaidozi couldn't be prouder of their children, and they knew that their legacy was in good hands. They continued to live a happy and fulfilling life, surrounded by their loved ones and the community they had built. Years later, When Amoka was old and grey, she looked back on her life with a sense of pride and accomplishment. She knew that she had overcome incredible odds and had made a real difference in the world. And as she took her final breath, surrounded by her family and loved ones, Amoka knew that her legacy would live on through her children, her community, and the countless lives she had touched. The story of Amoka came to an end, but her impact on the world would be felt for generations to come.
After the death of Amoka, Obinna, the eldest child of Amoka, grew up to be a brilliant and compassionate lawyer. He had always been drawn to justice and fairness, and his experiences as a child had instilled in him a strong sense of empathy and understanding for those who had been wronged. Obinna's journey to becoming a lawyer was not without its challenges. He faced many obstacles, including discrimination and bias, but he persevered, driven by his passion for justice and his desire to make a difference. After completing his law degree, Obinna worked tirelessly to build a successful career, taking on cases that championed the rights of the marginalized and oppressed. He became known for his eloquence, his sharp mind, and his unwavering commitment to justice. One of his most notable cases was a landmark victory for a group of women who had been victims of gender-based violence. Obinna's advocacy and legal expertise helped bring their perpetrators to justice, and his arguments before the court helped to change the legal landscape, paving the way for future generations of women to seek justice and protection. Throughout his career, Obinna remained humble and grounded, never forgetting his roots and the struggles his family had faced. As Obinna's reputation as a skilled lawyer and advocate for justice grew, he began to receive recognition and accolades from his peers and the community. He was awarded the Lawyer of the Year by the Nigerian Bar Association and was also honored with a humanitarian award for his work with marginalized communities. Despite his success, Obinna remained humble and dedicated to his family and his work. He continued to take on cases that championed the rights of the oppressed and marginalized, and his law firm became a beacon of hope for those seeking justice. One day, Obinna received a call from the office of the governor of his state, requesting his presence at a meeting. When he arrived, he was surprised to learn that he was being considered for a judicial appointment to the state high court. After a rigorous selection process, Obinna was appointed as a judge, becoming one of the youngest judges in the state's history. As a judge, Obinna continued to serve with integrity and compassion, earning the respect of his colleagues and the admiration of the people. He presided over cases with fairness and wisdom, always mindful of the impact his decisions would have on the lives of those involved.
Obinna was recommended to the president by one of the women Amoka had helped in the past. The woman happened to be the mother of the president. Amoka's kindness and goodwill lived on positively for her son Obinna. As for Nina, she married a very wealthy man and she now lives in the city with her family. What will you be remembered for when you are long gone? This is a story everyone should ponder on. I hope we learned a lot from this story. Please do not forget to subscribe to this channel, like, share, and comment.